In this week's parasha, we begin the final book of the Torah, Devarim. And really what Devarim is a speech. It's the final sermon of Moshe before he passes away, before the Jewish people go into the land of Israel. And he begins by doing a little bit of a history lesson, going back in time to when the Jewish people first left the land of Egypt, and eventually they came to Mount Sinai. And there they remained at Mount Sinai for almost a year. And Moshe says to the Jewish people that at that time, Hashem said to me, Rav lachem shevet bahar hazeh. You've been sitting at this mountain for too long now. You need to get going. You need to go because you can't have this existence, this miraculous existence in the wilderness. You've got to go into the land of Israel. You've got to go into the land of Canaan. There you've got to fight wars, and you've got to plow the ground, and you've got to prepare crops and build homes. And therefore, Rav lachem shevet bahar hazeh. You've been sitting here at this mountain for too long. But our sages have an additional meaning, an additional way of interpreting this verse. Rav lachem, which means you've been here for too long, can also be understood to mean Rav lachem. You have gained so much, shevet bahar hazeh, by dwelling at this mountain. What did the Israelites gain by dwelling at Mount Sinai? Well, the first thing is that they received the Torah, their constitution for life. Then they built the Mishkan, the tabernacle. They appointed the judges, the Sanhedrin. So much glory, so much goodness, so much of the foundations of the Jewish people were given to them when they were sitting at this mountain. My late Rosh Hashiva used to tell us as follows, that there is a law in the Torah that relates that when a couple gets married, for the first year of their marriage, they should really try to be with one another as much as possible. The husband is not allowed to go off to war, to battle, and even if he wants to leave town or leave the country to go off on business, he has to acquire special permission from his wife. The idea being is that in that first year of marriage, which is such a vulnerable time, that they should spend as much time together as possible and make sure that their relationship is formed on a very good foundation. And so it was with the Israelites in the wilderness. Before they set out to the land of Israel, they needed to have a foundation. They needed to have a time in their history when they would be dedicated to serving God and to learning the Torah. And therefore God said, stay with me, as it were, in the same way that a groom remains with his bride for an entire year. We'll spend that year together. We'll learn together. We'll study. You'll keep all of the mitzvot. You'll see what it means to be the Jewish people. That gives us the foundation. Because in generations after that, a Jew was just born into a Jewish community. It's something that they just took in almost by osmosis through their genes. But at that point, there was no such thing. There was no history of the Jewish people. And therefore, this had to be created. So therefore, Moshe says to them, Rav lachem shevet bahar hazeh, you've acquired so much from that time you spent at Mount Sinai. Those were your formative years. And that's why Jewish education is so basic and so important. Because we have to make sure that our children also have, in their formative years, a wonderful appreciation of Judaism, which they can then take on for the rest of their lives. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.